I also serve on the play selection committee. I have been a longtime supporter, and not only as a volunteer, but also financially through supportive programming and projects. Tonight, you are in for a very special treat. Halloween makeup tutorials. You will learn tips on how to get ready for Halloween, from spooky and scary to over the top makeup and mask like mine. So get ready and don't forget this week's events are a reminder that the Civic continues to need your financial support. I'm donating toward tonight's dare, and I hope you will join me. Thank you in advance, and I hope to see your name on the list of tonight's supporters. Goodbye.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
Hi everybody, it's me and my brother Jackson.
Good evening and welcome.
Hello, I am Quinn Walker.
Hey, no, I'm okay. It's Yo.
No, just dab it.
Why are you doing it if you're not recording?
We are recording.
Oh, you're recording?
You have no idea what we're doing.
Hello, and welcome to the spookiest time of year. This is a great time to get candy, dress up, and my personal favorite thing, do some really cool makeup. So today, I'm going to teach you two different things. The first is going to be how to make a bruise, and the second thing, we're going to step it up a notch. I'm going to show you how to make a burn on your skin. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you always need to do is make sure that you wash your face for the most part, and definitely wash your hands. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and pause and do it now. Go ahead, I'll wait. Oh hey, welcome back. At this point you've already washed your hands and your face should be relatively clean. For this look, it's totally okay if you already have something on your face like foundation or some kind of a moisturizer, but it isn't necessary. The things that you're going to need in order to make a bruise are mainly different colors. You need to have reds or pinks, blues, and yellows. So red or pink, blue, and then yellow. The kind of color that you want to use is entirely up to you, and there are many, many different options. For example, you could use a powder, like this. It's kind of like an eyeshadow palette. I just got that somewhere cheap, like Dollar Tree or Big Lots or something like that. You can also choose to use a cream, like this. This is actually called a bruise wheel, and it's got all the different colors that you need. You'll notice they have green and yellow, and those are both options for you. But again, we'll get to that in just a minute. The thing I'm going to use is going to look a little bit different, and this is called alcohol activated paints. It looks like this. They only work if I use alcohol that comes with it. So right now, it's totally clean. I don't get any colors. That's what I'm going to be using. But whichever it is that you're going to use, just make sure it's consistent. Don't use powder for the pink or the red and then switch to cream for the other colors, because it's just going to gunk up. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you need to do is you need to decide where it is that you want to do your bruise. For today, I'm going to do it on my face so that it's a lot easier to follow, but you can choose anywhere to do it. You could do it on your hand, on your arm, or even on your foot if you really wanted to. But I'm going to give myself a black eye to show how it is that we're going to do this. So the first thing that we're going to do as far as actually applying the makeup is we're going to start out with that pink or that red color. And it's really kind of, you can just pick whichever one looks the best on your skin tone. So what you're going to do is you're going to get that red color. And today I'm going to be using sponges, but you can also use brushes, or if you're using your own makeup, you can just use your fingers. You're going to take that red or pink color and you're going to put it exactly where you want that bruise. So I'm going to start right here, kind of on my cheekbone. It's going to look really, really dark when I put it on, but I'm going to blend it out, which just means smearing it so that it's not all in one spot. Make sure that whichever makeup you use, you don't get it in your eye. That's going to sting and really kind of give you an actual injury, which is not cool.
Is that too red? Nothing is too red.
First of all, I need to pick where I have been punched. Being Indiana Jones, generally that's in the jaw area.
You're red. For some reason. I don't know.
All right, that looks pretty blended out. So you'll see that right now it takes a pretty big space. However, I don't go right up to my eye. Again, because it's going to probably hurt me if I get it in my eye. So you want to make sure that you're doing the entire area that you want bruised. If I imagine that I got punched in the face, it's going to hit me kind of right on this bone. All right, the next thing that you're going to do is we're going to move on to our next color. And in order to make a bruise, you kind of have to understand what a bruise actually is. So what happens when you get bruised is that it breaks some kind of a blood vessel. And that's why we see this pink or this red color first. As soon as it starts to heal a little bit, we're going to see that brighter color. It's going to turn kind of a purple, kind of a blue color. And that's when the blood really starts to settle. So what you're going to do next is you're going to find that blue color, and be very careful because that blue is usually pretty strong. And what you're going to do is you're going to focus on the center of the bruise that you just made, and you're going to apply that blue color in the same way that you applied the red color before.
Looks pretty awkward.
How did she get that blue?
Sometimes it doesn't show and sometimes it does.
All right, that's looking pretty good. You want to make sure that there's not a clear line that looks like a bullseye. You want to make sure that you blend it out. The next and final step is going to sound a little bit odd, but once you see it on, it will make a lot of sense. The next step is to actually add the healing process. So once a bruise gets a little bit older, it gets kind of a yellowish greenish tinge to it. And that's because your body sends out white blood cells in order to try to help your body heal from that bruise. So using that yellow, or you might have kind of a greenish color, you're going to gently apply that over the entire thing. And if you focus anything, it's going to be in that center again. So go ahead and apply that yellow or green color.
Being Indiana Jones, I generally don't use makeup, so the whole experience is new for me.
Good work. That yellow doesn't have to be very, very obvious. It just gives a little bit of a sheen over the bruised area. And just with those three colors, you have quite the shiner going on.
Looks like I got hit. Half effort.
Alright. That's not too bad, is it?
Final products. This.
There you go. My bruise.
Okay, we're gonna go back here.
Next up, we're going to step up our injury game. And this time, we're going to make a burn on your skin. Just for fun, we're going to try to make a pretty severe looking burn. The materials that you're going to need are a little bit more complicated, and Merlin the dog wants to get involved too. The things that you're going to need in order to make a burn are either liquid latex, which can be bought at a lot of different makeup stores, like Halloween makeup stores. You can find that there. Or if you don't have liquid latex, or if you have a latex allergy, you can make your own by mixing Elmer's glue, just kind of liquid Elmer's glue, and water. If you want to color it just a little bit, you can add just a drop of foundation or a little drop of food coloring, but don't go crazy with it. Either one of those will work because we're going to be using the liquid latex or the Elmer's glue mixture in order to make a fake skin that we can tear away, so that you're not actually tearing away your own skin. The other thing that you're going to need is some kind of red color, and that reddish color can be any number of things. Again, you might choose to use a cream. You could also use a powder, although it's not going to be quite as good of quality. And the final thing that you can use is any kind of lipstick. You'll see that there's a very red color in here. So whatever it is that you want to use and whatever it is that you have available, that's going to work for you. Today, I'm going to be using my cream palette. Again, this is called a bruise wheel, but it's got some great colors in it, and this is from a professional theater makeup company called Ben Nye. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you're going to want to do is decide where it is that you want your bruise. Again, I'm going to use my face just because it's very easy for you to follow, but you can do this anywhere. However, I would encourage you not to do it somewhere that you have hair. So for example, on your arm, you don't necessarily want that hair getting caught in the latex or the glue. You can do it if you want, but just know that removal is probably going to hurt a little bit more. You could do it on the inside of your arm, where there tends to be a little bit less hair. You could do it on the back of your hand, or again, if you wanted to do it on your foot, you could just as easily do that. But today I'm going to be doing it on my face. The next thing you want to do is you want to find a piece of paper. I'm all for recycling, so this is just an extra scrap of paper that I had lying around. With that piece of paper, you're going to want to tear, not cut, but tear to get those rough edges, whatever shape it is that you want for your burn.
I'm using this Hello Kitty coloring page, the opposite side. Waste not, want not.
I've decided that I'm going to use this shape for my burn. Next, what you want to do is you want to figure out placement. So wherever it is that you want your bruise placed, find somewhere that's not going to be too difficult to get stuff on. So for example, right by your mouth is not a great place. And you certainly don't want it over your nose so that it prevents you from breathing. You also don't want it too close to your eye because we're going to be putting stuff along the edges and it really hurts to catch your eyelashes or your eyebrows in that. I'm doing mine right in the center of my face. Next, you want to go ahead and grab that liquid latex and pour it out a little bit, or you have that Elmer's glue mixture. And what you're going to do is you're going to dab it around the edges of your paper. So I'm choosing to use a sponge. Again, you can use any number of things. I would not use a brush, but if you want to use your fingers, power to you. I'm just taking a little bit of this liquid latex, and I'm just dabbing it around the edge. Notice that I'm holding onto this paper because it's not instantly going to be glued to my face.
I have my helper to help me with this.
Ooh, this is sticky.
Well, just gotta wait for it to dry.
It's important that I have all the different parts flat to my face. So you can see right here, it's not currently flat to my face. So I need to put more of that latex or Elmer's glue mixture and flatten it down. As we wait for this to dry, you can tell when you touch it, if it's tacky, it's not dry yet. However, if it feels just kind of like a weird plasticky feel, then it's dry. Otherwise, wait for the whole thing to finish drying.
Now I just gotta wait for it to dry.
This hat makes a perfect drying system.
Alright, I think it's dry. Nope.
Once it's finished drying, it might feel a little bit weird, especially if you have it on part of your face or part of your body that moves around a lot. So when I talk, my cheek moves around, so it feels a little bit weird, but that's okay. This next part you want to be super careful with. Whenever you're poking at your face, make sure that you don't actually hurt yourself. Makeup is cool. Actual injuries, not so cool. So what you want to do is you want to take this paper for the most part out. There's a couple different ways you can do this. If the paper's thin enough, you can just poke a hole through it. Mine is not, so I'm going to carefully use a small, slightly pointed tool in order to break through it and then pull most of it out. If there's a little bit of paper left underneath that, don't worry, that's okay.
This is taking longer than I thought. It was hard to do with only one hand available.
Uh-huh. Gotcha.
Right, once you've removed all that paper, now you've got this kind of weird looking crater in your face or wherever it is you're applying your burn. As you can see, There's still some paper left underneath that, but that's okay because I'm going to end up covering it up anyway. Next, if you have foundation, foundation is helpful and you can actually apply that around it. If you don't have foundation, that's okay.
That could be seen as my skin.
And if you want to make it more realistic, you could just burn yourself.
If you chose to cover up the edges, you now have something that kind of sort of matches your skin color. Again, if you don't have it, that's okay because you can get pretty gruesome with it. Now that we have where the burn is and we've got what looks like skin peeling up from the edges, now we're going to fill in the center. And here's where your makeup's going to come into play. I'm using cream makeup. It looks like this. And I'm going to pick a red color. So with my brush, I could also use my finger or a sponge. I'm going to take this red color and I'm going to fill in this entire hole, including underneath the skin area.
Personally, I think a good burn illustrates your personality quite well.
Quality is subpar.
A blood type thing. Okay, it's lost.
Once you're finished, it's going to look kind of like this. And it's already starting to look pretty gruesome. The problem is right now it looks like just one solid color, which isn't terrible, but if you have some of those extra colors or if you have some different colors of lipstick or cream foundation, what you can do is you can kind of stipple or poke that in. So I'm going to use this darker purple. Take just a little bit of that.
The purple? No. Now that I've ruined my lipstick.
So you might have something that looks kind of like this. The key thing to a burn look is that you have the outside skin, which is not totally connected to the actual skin, your real skin, and then you fill in that center bit with some kind of reddish color. Now that you have that basic burn, you can get kind of fancy with it. If you want to take some kind of a black powder and put it along the inside edge of the skin, that'll give it kind of a charred look, like the skin has actually been burned and turned black. You can also choose to take some Vaseline and put that Vaseline in the middle part to give it a real shiny look. Another option you can do is to take something like your finger or a Q-tip and just sort of give it a little bit of different shades in there.
Adding black, like my hair, and my heart.
Right now, you don't really need commentary.
This just makes sure that it doesn't look like one solid color. You can also get creative with it. For example, if you wanted to make it so that it's not really a burn, but rather just the skin being pulled away, you can put something else underneath there. For example, if you wanted to look like a robot whose human skin was coming off, you might paint the inside silver and add gears or cool little metallic things or wires. If you wanted to make it look like you have, like you're celebrating Pride Month, maybe you paint a rainbow inside of there. It's entirely up to you. You get to be creative. Once you learn the basics of a bruise or a burn, you can go a little bit crazy and do whatever you want with it. The main thing to remember is that you are always safe. Don't do any kind of makeup that's going to actually hurt you. All right, go forth and have fun with your bruise and your burn.
Finished product.
And there you go.
Definitely looks like an amateur's work.
Happy Halloween!
And happy Halloween!
Bye.
Hello, and happy spooky season. Today, I'm going to teach you how to do some spooky season Halloween style makeup. One of my personal favorites, the zombie. So, get ready to do zombie makeup. Alright, let's get started. There's lots of ways that you can make a zombie look. Today, I'm going to show you one of them. And basically, it's all about rotting skin. So, here's what you're going to need. First, you're going to need some foundation. Next, you're going to need either liquid latex, or you can mix Elmer's glue with water and just a drop or two of either the foundation that you match your skin with, or you can do some food coloring. Be careful though that you don't have too much of that, as it can totally change the color. You're also going to need some kind of cream, powder, or painted makeup that's not going to dye your skin. You don't want to actually change your real skin. You can get this in a variety of colors. Some of the colors that I suggest are red, brown, purple, blue, green, yellow, and or black. All of those are options and you can make any of them work because you get to be your kind of zombie. You're also going to need some kind of setting powder, or if you don't have setting powder, you can use some flour. You're going to want some fake blood if you have it around, and there are lots of recipes online, or I'll show you a couple different varieties here in just a moment. You can then have lots of cool kinds of stuff to add in as extra, things like Vaseline, or any kind of colored pencil, like an eyeliner pencil. Liquid latex is something that you can find at most kinds of Halloween stores, and the one that I have came in a big container like this. You're not going to need all of this. In fact, you might want to split this with some friends, or hold on to it for another look pretty soon. If you have a latex allergy, or if you don't have liquid latex, you can use an alternative that's made from using liquid Elmer's glue, or some kind of water-soluble glue. Mix it with some water until you get a good consistency that's not too thick, but also isn't super runny. And if you want to add some color to that, you can add in some foundation or some food coloring. But again, make sure that you're careful. As far as blood, there's lots of options, and there are plenty of recipes online. There's also different kinds of blood, like this spray bottle kind of blood. This is called coagulated blood, and it's really, really thick. It looks like this. You can find something called scab blood, and it comes in a little container, and it looks kind of like that. Or, like what I'm going to be using today, again, I had a big container of this blood from the Halloween store. Lots and lots of blood. It's very, very liquidy, so that's what I'm going to use today. You'll want some kind of foundation that matches your skin. If you want to go a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to match my skin exactly today because it's what I have. And then any number of different colors that you can use. You can use powder if you want, like an eyeshadow palette, but I tend to find that that gets really gunky really fast. Another option would be any kind of lipstick or lip stain color. You can use that. I prefer to use this cream makeup. This is called a bruise wheel. It's got all these different colors in it. And there are lots of different colors you can choose from, but you can decide. Finally, some of the additional stuff that you might choose would be colored pencils. I have a red and a blue here, and you'll see what I'll use those for a little bit later. And you might also want to choose some Vaseline or petroleum jelly. And this is going to add a little bit of gunky shine. But again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. Today, I'm going to be using my liquid latex, and I'm going to be applying it with a little sponge like this. If you have a latex allergy, make sure that you're careful with both the latex and the sponges, since a lot of times they contain latex. If you're not sure, go ahead and stop if you're applying latex and it starts to burn. You might have a latex allergy. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a fake layer of skin, because obviously I don't want to dig actual holes into my face. Remember that you can also apply this makeup pretty much anywhere you want. So if you're not really feeling like putting it on your face, feel free to zombify your hand. That's also an option for you. Using this liquid latex, I'm going to make a very thin layer of fake skin, and I'm going to pick somewhere that doesn't have a lot of hair. So everyone's got a little bit of hair on their face, probably all over their face, and you want to avoid this hair right by your hairline, and also if you're growing any kind of facial hair, you want to avoid that. The only reason for this is because when you remove it later, it's going to just peel off, but it catches those little hairs, and that's really painful. So I'm going to apply a couple different spots. I'm going to start here on my forehead. And I'm applying this to mostly clean skin. Everybody's skin has a certain amount of oil on it, and if you're inside with the heat on like I am, you might also be sweating. So you want to start on a mostly clean face or clean skin. You see I'm just dabbing on there. So I've got this. I'm going to wait for that to dry. And I'm also going to apply some over here, avoiding being too close to my eye, because again, that's going to hurt when I peel it off.
I actually have a makeup model that I'm going to do my scary face tutorial with.
So right now I'm shaking up my bottle of flesh latex.
Dab it! I'm dabbing! And not on my hair.
A little audience member who's going to watch.
I don't know how much I'm supposed to do. It doesn't She looks like she has more.
Okay, let's get to it.
No, not your turn. Glitter!
Don't get the eyebrows because then you will never be able to move again.
It doesn't have to be perfect because zombies are killers.
Out. Get out.
Okay, bye.
I am not a makeup artist.
All right, I'm now testing to see if my liquid latex is dried. You can tell if it's dry or not. If it feels just kind of a plasticky sheen, that means that it's dried. If it feels like it's sticky, that means it's too wet still and you want to wait just a little bit longer. This applies to both the liquid latex and to the Elmer's glue. Mine feels all like plastic, so mine's dry. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Because I'm going to be peeling at it a little bit, I'm actually going to add a second layer just to make sure that it doesn't peel too much. I'm not going to do this all over the place because there are some places that I want to be nice and thin.
I have more than you! No, you don't. Good. We're good.
You're gonna be one of those sexy zombies. Hey!
Grace, you're gonna have to fast forward through this.
So, good job, generic Halloween store flesh latex.
Are you dry yet? I don't know. Are you dry yet?
All dry.
And you guys can book me if you want. I only charge $2.
Don't put it
Are you
on.
recording?
Yeah, don't put it on again because
You're
I'm
still
gonna-
recording?
Yeah.
Wait, what's she doing now?
Well, when you look like, you could probably take a visit to the dermatologist if you were alive.
All right, I'm doing the same thing, tapping just to make sure it feels like everything's dry. So I'm going to move on to the next step. This next step should not hurt you, but you do want to make sure that you're always careful. What we're going to do is we're going to remove some of this skin because when I picture a zombie, I think of somebody who's just risen from the dead and then their skin starts to peel off because, well, they're dead. So what I'm going to do is with this fake skin, I'm just going to pick at it. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. I like to use just my fingers by pulling at it. If you are more comfortable using something like a small pointed object, for example, this. It's like a modeling tool. You can see that it's not too sharp. It's not going to actually like stab at my skin, but I can use this to kind of start at it. So for example, I'm just kind of picking at this right here until I get a little tiny hole. See that little hole? And I'm going to use that to get a little bit bigger. You can also just use your skin or your fingers or fingernails and pick at it like this, and you can see the same kind of thing. I'm getting just a little hole there, and I'm going to pick at that. I can choose to either make a very large hole or I can do a bunch of little ones. The effect is entirely up to you and what you want it to be. So this kind of looks like rotting skin, kind of. Not that I know what rotting skin looks like.
What are you doing? Making you look like a zombie.
We're just gonna pick at it.
So I'm also going to accentuate my natural features and kind of highlight my lovely mole.
Here. Ew, a dead fly just fell out of that. That's gross.
This restroom has never been a bigger mess before, I'll have you know.
Yeah, that's gross. Okay.
For real. Like, some zombies like acne.
Yeah, that's how tough this stuff is. It's like rubber bands on your face.
All right, you can see I did lots of different kinds of looks. Got a really big hole kind of up here where my skin has rotted away. Got these little pockmark holes over here. I just kind of rolled the stuff on top of it. And then here on my nose, I want to show you something also you can do. So taking that flour or that setting powder, it looks like this. You're going to take a loose brush, if you have one. For example, it might look kind of like this. And you're going to take that and just using a little bit, so you can see I don't have a whole lot on my brush. I'm going to tap most of it off. I'm going to go over that liquid latex.
Kind of look like a teenager with bad skin.
This lovely healthy glow that I have needs to go away.
I've got flour all over my black sweatpants.
Really, really pale.
What this does is it prevents it from getting too shiny, but it also prevents it from rolling in and sticking to itself. Liquid latex, for better or worse, sticks to itself, which is how I get things like this, sort of where it sticks together, right? But here on my nose, I actually want there to be skin falling off. That sounds super gross and I love it. So in order to make it so it doesn't just stick to itself, I put that flour, I put that setting powder on it, and I'm just going to kind of pick at it until it looks like my skin is falling off of my face. Ew. And so I'm also going to put some setting powder underneath it to prevent it again from sticking to itself. All right, looks nice and creepy. I love it. Let's go ahead and decorate what we have as far as our work. Okay, here is where you can start using your foundation to get a little bit of that outside stuff, and then we're going to fill in the goopy stuff. So using my foundation, I'm going to go on the outside part of the skin.
Okay, Kathryn, what do you want me to do next?
Our face paint or our foundation.
Hers looks a lot cooler than mine.
I'm gonna go in with like another sponge.
Looking good, Kathryn. I'm looking pretty good too. I don't know how old this is. Boop, 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 boop.
If you don't have any foundation to use, that's totally okay, because all that the foundation does is it helps blend out the edges of my latex. So up here, I can actually feel where the latex ends and my skin begins, and it can look kind of like a sharp line. So all my foundation does is it blends it in. If you don't have foundation, then you just won't have blended skin, which is totally acceptable for a zombie. All right, let's fill in all the goopy stuff in between. If I was a zombie, these holes would show whatever I have underneath me. And if you feel around on your head, some parts have bone, like right here, and right here. And some places have just sort of squishy flesh under it, like right here. All right, and even on my nose, on the end of my nose. So you can decide what it is that you want to do. Using my cream color, I'm going to pick a red to start out with.
I love my pimples.
Next, we get into the fun stuff.
Making magic happen.
And I'm coloring in my holes.
I don't know what I've done.
All right, I put my red base down, and you may have noticed that there are some places where I maybe seem to mess up. For example, right here, I kind of got over the skin, but that's okay, because the nice thing about zombie makeup is even if you mess it up, it just looks creepy, and so it still works. Next, what you can do is you can actually change up those colors. So while I used my red before, I might go in and add in some kind of purpley colors, I might add in some black or some blues, and I might add in that rotting yellow or green. And you can do this however you want. I'm going to show you a couple different ones. I'll make one especially dark, I'll make one look especially bloody, I'll make one look kind of rotten. So feel free to do it however it is that you want.
But as we all know, zombies decay over time. That is that.
All right, now that I've got the actual color in there, you can see there's all different kinds of ways of doing it. This one stayed especially bloody, this one kind of is like old bloody, this one's really very dark, and this one has some nasty moss or rot or something coming out of it. Again, I'm all about making it gooky and gross. Okay, you could just stop here, and that's totally fine, especially if you have it all over your face. This is pretty creepy looking. You can have little holes, you can have bigger holes, or you can have skin peeling off, or you can have a combination of all of it. Now, if you want to get kind of creative with it, you can start to add a few different kind of cool things. So one of the things that you can add is any kind of like veins coming out. So I have kind of a blue looking pencil here, and I'm going to use this to make some veins. They don't have to be super dark. They're just kind of traced on. So I'm not even pushing with the pencil. I'm just sort of dragging it. That's one option of things that you can add to it. If you're comfortable, you can also put some dark color around your eyes. So for example, I can put red around my eyes.
I think that I might just start doing this look all the time.
You can also choose to sink in my eyes and my cheeks. And the way you want to do that is you're going to take another kind of sponge, and using those same colors we used to fill in, I'm just going to put on real light these darker colors. So I'm going to focus on kind of this purpley, browny, burgundy color, and I'm going to fill in my eye sockets. If you're not sure where your eye sockets are, you can feel. Don't poke yourself in the eye, but you can feel where the bone is along your eyebrow and your nose and then under your eye. And anything soft in there, that's going to be your eye socket that you can fill in.
People are going to be like, oh, that's gross. And that's exactly what you want. Fancy.
His eye like more in, so he's like more skinny.
Is I'm dead, right?
All right. You may have noticed me pulling the paint away from my face. That's just blending it out so I don't have any very, very sharp lines. So for example, right here is looking a little sharp, so I don't want to pull at it, just to soften it up a little bit. You don't have to do that. You might play around with the idea of blood settling by putting it kind of right under here and making it a lot darker. Now I have blood settling in my eye socket. Another thing that you can do is you can sink in the soft part of your faces. So again, we can feel where there's bone and where there's soft spots. Your cheeks are soft spots, and your temples up here are soft spots. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill those in, and I'm going to sink them in using the same shadow color.
So there might be some glitter in it. Sorry.
What, was that a goth concert when I got bit?
I'm gonna go to a zombie rave. This is great.
Made his like shadows and like where the bone is, and we.
Girl, what were you doing right before you died? Became a zombie.
2020. We're here.
Once you start playing around with how shadow affects your face, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. You can sink in part of your head to make it look like you have a dent in your head. You can shape your nose, or you can misshape your nose to make it look like maybe your nose is all broken. It's entirely up to you, so play around with it.
Give myself those cheekbones I've always wanted.
Creme.
Alright, I'm pretty happy with how my zombie face looks right now. Up to this point, I've got my rotting flesh, right, any of that skin peeling off. I've also decided to add in some veins, and by sinking in my skin, it makes it look like my head is kind of shrinking in, or like my skin is shriveling up to the bone. Now, you can add even more if you want. Remember that blood is optional. You get to decide any of this that you want. You can do a very basic level of just the skin. You can fill in the skin to get that creepy look underneath, and then you can add all other kinds of, let's call them bonus zombie things. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some blood. Remember that I have so many different options of blood, but today I'm going to use that Halloween store big pint of blood.
So you be bleeding from there. You need some more bloody spots over here too. Yeah.
Go.
The blood, and this is like the finishing touch.
Bleed a little from the mouth too. I got into a zombie fight earlier over territory.
So now that I added the blood and it's like dripping, and I add the blood on the nose and over by this cheek.
Bloody eyebrows.
Alright, just like with everything else in this look, you can feel free to do whatever you want. If you want to add claw marks, you can do that. If you want to do dripping blood, first of all, make sure that you're somewhere that the dripping blood is not going to stain your carpet or your clothes or anything else. And if you want to have it where it looks like you've just eaten someone's flesh, you can put it around your mouth. Just be careful about getting it in your mouth. It usually tastes really, really bad unless you make your own chocolate syrup kind of blood. Alright, and that's it. That's my look for turning into a zombie. Now, you get to do whatever creative thing you want. Remember that the zombie design is entirely up to you. And if you go with your friends, you don't all have to be the same looking zombie. Mix it up. See what you can do with your hands, with your arms, with your neck. The same rules apply anywhere that you put on it. You want to put that skin on and be careful that you don't catch any of your hair on it. You want to fill that in with whatever color or colors you want. And then you can add all the cool stuff like veins, even if it's on your hand or your arms or your neck. You can add in blood, however you want that. And then the shading is exactly the same. So if you look at your hand, like here, you can see that when I move it around, I can see where my bones are. And so if I'm shading things in, I want to avoid those bones. I do something here, I do something here. Anywhere that your hand is kind of fleshy, like this, you want to go ahead and put shadow in. Try it out. Feel free to do whatever you want with it. All right, go forth and eat some brains.
Wait, let's show before.
Do I look like a zombie?
We're gonna do the glitter.
This is the finished look for the zombie.
Zamba mommy. Zumba. Zombie.
Come look. Come look. Come here.
That's pretty cool.
We got a singer in the background.
I'm pretty terrifying.
And if you'll excuse me, I've got to go wash the dead off my face.
You can't say I didn't try.
Yeah. Do you like it, Jax? Yeah.
Flesh.
Oh my gosh. You look amazing. Time to go kill people. But not in real life. Just fake.
socially distanced candy.
Zombie can be whatever you want it to be. And I'm not a makeup person, but I think I did pretty good.
Yep. Bye.
Happy Halloween.
Sorry, so late.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our Thursday night makeup tutorial. Thanks to Kathryn Hein. I love that she shares her talents and skills so freely with us, and I hope your Halloween is going to be extra spooky because of all the lessons you learned. In fact, we should call it a makeup boo-torial. Okay, thank you for tuning in. Know that you can give anytime you want to the South Bend Civic Theater. You can go on sbct.org. You can visit our Something Civic This Way Comes page on Facebook. But what we definitely want you to do is tune in tomorrow night for all of our dares. You can watch me get nailed into a coffin, Bill Svelmo eat bugs. You can watch April Sellers get a bucket of blood dropped on her. All kinds of fun. Tomorrow night at 7, we want you to tune in. Did you hear that? I need to check on something real quick. Just hold on, just for a second, okay, please? What is it? Is everything okay? No, it'll be fine. Here, let me come in. It's fine. No, oh my God! Oh, stop! Oh, no, why, Peeves? Why, Peeves?